Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Um, Kabasanid si kayo namin, ang mga aldaw kinyayo amin. Good morning. Good morning, Guam and my viewers. It's Saturday, September 17th, and this is the fifth episode of Kababayan, Kasali Kayo. Welcome to my show. Today, we will talk about a legislation that was introduced uh, in late August while the primary election on Guam was ongoing, so I never had a chance to talk about this legislation. But it went viral, and it was on the topic of legalizing divorce in the Philippines. I'm talking in English and later maybe Taglish because I want my viewers to understand and and know about the divorce issues in the Philippines. A lot of people from Guam go to the Philippines and for whatever reason, but uh, when I do my show, I've been getting emojis with eyes rolled up that they don't understand my show. So I guess that's a signal that I have to talk in English too, and not just Tagalog. So going back to this legislation that's was introduced by uh, Senator Rafi Tulfo um, in Congress, and he has a live show Monday through Friday on TV5 Philippines, and a very popular show. I believe he's got like maybe 50 million viewers, and so now that he's a senator, he introduced uh, this bill, and maybe it's about time. Uh, the last time a bill to legalize divorce in the Philippines was introduced about 12 years ago, um, during the presidency of President Benigno Noynoy Aquino, and it went on the floor, but it never materialized because President Noynoy himself, opposed it. And also there was, and if a president opposed the legislation, I mean, that's you're on for a big fight, a long fight. So it never materialized. The Aquinos are staunch Catholics, so his mom was a devout Catholic, and so are his sisters. Um, but the other reason to why that divorce bill didn't materialize because the bishops of the Philippines, it's a congregation, it's a group of bishops from all over the Philippines were opposed to this legislation. Um, they what do you call this? They they believe and they strongly uh oppose to the legislation because of their belief and their teaching, of course, is marriage is the sanctity of marriage. Okay, especially when you're married in church. Okay, so during President Noynoy's reign as a as a president, even the liberal Pope Francis visited the Philippines, and it was during this time that the legislation was already introduced, and the Pope himself encouraged the popes to be a little bit more forgiving and allow divorce in the Philippines. And the Pope and the Pope, urged the Catholic bishops to take on uh this new belief. Give them a slack, give the Filipino a slack, and respect the if this legislation passes, respect it. But the bishops, no, they snubbed him. They snubbed the Pope, and they went against campaigning against the passage of the proposed divorce in the Philippines, and that was 12 years ago. Now today, time has changed. Okay, um, 3 out of 5 young adults, I mean marriage age, um, are in a relationship without marriage. Okay, and 3 out of 5 are for divorce. So they're a little bit more vocal these days. These young adults are a little bit more vocal these days because of the rampant existence happenings of philandering and cheating in the Philippines. That is so uh, evident now in the Philippines. So these young adults are not into marriage. They'll have children, but they won't have any. They won't get into marriage because it's hard to get out of a relationship without a divorce. If in the Philippines, when you get married and you're found cheating, your spouse can take you to court and you can be punished. And if you're caught in the act with your concubine, uh, your spouse can summon a police, catches you on the act, and immediately you're taken to prison. Okay, but it's a bailable offense anyway. So um, more and more couples are in a relationship having children, but they're not in a formal marriage because their belief is um, they cannot go into a new relationship. It's illegal to go to a new relationship. Once you're married and you there's no divorce, if you get into a new relationship while still married, that's illegal and that's punishable, I believe, by 4 years, 4 years imprisonment, no less than 6 years. Okay. So now that this popular senator, well, let's go back. Senator Tulfo, before he became a popular senator, he was already popular. He had a talk show, a daily talk show, Monday through Friday on TV5 Philippines, and hosted Rafi Tulfo in Action. And it in the beginning it was just ordinary complaints from Filipino callers on their problems. It could be economic, could be a job, it could be abused in the workplace. But more and more have supported his show, especially the overseas Filipino workers all over the world. And so when I started following Rafi Tulfo, he had like, I would say about 10 million followers daily. Now, today, he has more than 30 million followers. So he's done this thing he where YouTube, when you connect with YouTube and your show is that popular, he makes a lot of money. He's one of the biggest. I would say maybe the second or third largest YouTube moneymaker in the Philippines with that kind of following. So, with 30 plus million uh, viewers and supporters, he ran for office. And so he garnered he's the third highest vote getter senator in the Philippines. Okay. So he's now the committee chairman in Congress for the Overseas Filipino Workers Committee, and he also heads the Committee on Energy in the present Congress. And so he's taken on a lot of responsibilities besides or aside from doing his daily shows. So I think with his popularity, this this proposed bill on divorce might just go somewhere. Okay. And I know that I've read that he's also got a lot of support from the new legislators that were, uh, what do you call this, elected last May. And so, uh, going back to the divorce bill, um, you know, um, what do you call this? Um, the country, the Philippines, is predominantly Catholic, but the country is also known as the last country in the world. The Philippines is known as the last country of the world without divorce. So that means everybody, all the other countries has divorce, but the Philippines is the only one. Okay, that's according to a news I read. And also in the Philippines, there's this archaic value amongst, the grassroots, very popular among the old folks, the grassroots, that it's okay. And it's part of the Filipino culture to be a cheater, to be a philandering husband. And it's okay to take on as many wives and have as many illegitimate children. And it is part of the culture, meaning it is acceptable. Okay. And so, you know, I don't know. I just, that belief and that part of the culture has to go. It's personally, I'm against that, you know. And so the bishops of the Philippines are saying, and people are saying, majority of the people are saying, okay, you can cheat as long as you go home to your wife, okay? And you can take on as many mistresses, but you go home to your wife and provide for your children, and it's okay. No, that's not okay. To me, that's not okay. And a lot of educated women say it's not okay. Okay? Here's another thing. Here's another bad thing. It's okay to go home to your wife and have as many mistresses and have as many children, okay? And when your wife complains and whines, it's okay to beat her up. That is an accepted norm in the Philippines for a long time. And people the old folks are saying, "Oh, yeah, it's acceptable." No, 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 no. It's not acceptable. No man has the right to beat up and abuse anybody. And the good thing is, nowadays, during the Duterte administration, the laws on uh you know abusiveness, lack of financial support, uh has been have been revised. Uh, there is a law now that calls for um, what do you call this, child support, but there is no set, I believe there's no set percentage like here in Guam and in the United States. What the court does, and the the aegis office, that sector of the office that handles the child support, what they do is they gather information on the person that's supposed to give the support. If it's a father, it's the father. So they gather information on that individual, find out if he's gainfully employed, how much he's making, on his 8 to 5 job, if he has other jobs, and he files, whether he files uh, taxes or not on those other jobs, he still has to declare it, because the AG will find out if he's making money outside of his regular job. So they tally that, they add that together, and then take into consideration his expenses, his loans, and all that. So they minus that, I believe. And so whatever comes out, they take a percentage of that. And there's no way out. When you go through a divorce here on Guam and you have children to support, it's mandatory. It's a law. In the Philippines, it doesn't work like that. Although there was the legislation introduced during the or refined during the Duterte administration. I believe it doesn't stress how much or what percentage must the supporting parent has to pay. Okay, and I think that's something that Senator Tufo is also looking into. There's got to be a certain percentage. So going back uh to that norm, and that acceptable part of culture, that it's okay to have multiple mistresses and have, you know many children as you want outside your legal marriage. It's not acceptable anymore. And educated women are on the wagon with Senator Tulfo to make the country aware of why a divorce should or must be legalized in the Philippines. Okay. Uh, so throughout the country, there are non-government non-governmental organization that are going around, I believe, um, um, teaching women or letting women know that, you know they must support this bill. So there's a lot of educational awareness going on around the Philippines right now. And when I say educated women, I'm talking about not just through education, but also these are women who are well traveled, and they know, they've been in a country where divorce works, and so they're looking at those perspective, and bring them to the Philippines. Okay, because you get a housewife somewhere in the outskirts of the provinces, the poor areas in the Philippines. I can bet you 100 I can bet you 100% that they're not aware and they do not know what divorce is all about, and they do not know the difference between staying abused and getting a divorce, and they do not know the difference between asking their philandering husband for support versus going going to to somebody, to a lawyer. They can't probably even afford to go to a lawyer and talk about you know go after my husband for child support. They'll probably just rely on NGOs to help them out, seek those relief because of abusive or bad marriage. Okay. So I can foresee a lot of these educated women, especially those who belong to NGOs, to provide uh, you know awareness, a lot of awareness about this proposed uh, divorce legislation to legalize divorce in the Philippines. And I know a lot of women in NGOs in the Philippines, and they take their jobs seriously. They take their volunteering seriously, and they'll go out. And I know they'll go out. I might just join some of my friends in the Philippines and do this, because I believe it's time to have divorce legalized in the Philippines. Now, we'll be right back. We'll take a short break and we'll talk more about this divorce bill in the Philippines. Welcome back to Kababayan, kasali kayo. I'm your talk host, Sally Aquino. Nauutal-utal ako. Excited na kasi ako dito sa legislation na ito eh. So mga kababayan, my friends, my Chamorro friends who watch my show, welcome to Kababayan, kasali kayo. And today I'm talking about a viral news that happened the week of the primary election, and this was the proposed legislation to legalize divorce in the Philippines, and it was introduced by the famous, the well-known and well-supported uh, Rafi Tulfo in action, and now a senator in the Philippines. Okay, and earlier I was talking about in the old days, maybe as late as 12 years ago, uh, having cheating and having mistresses uh, was is very much still part of our culture, the culture in the Philippines. But you know, one of the reasons why, in following Rafi Tulfo's show, one of the reasons why he's introducing this bill is because in his daily show, and that's 5 shows a week, I would say 4 out of those who come and seek his help are from husbands or wife who are experiencing um, cheating, and there's no way out because there's no divorce in the Philippines. So, in short, Rafi Tulfo is saying, you know, it's time because it's time for divorce to be legalized in the Philippines because he's experienced this in his show. There's 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 so many women and men and women alike who come to his show and complain about um, a man's wife cheating on him, or a wife husband cheating on her, and they're not, and either one, they're not getting any financial support from their partners. So he sees this. Rafa Tulfo sees this in as a problem, as a big problem. Another reason why he's persistent. He's going to be persistent about this legislation is because he also oversees the Overseas Filipino Workers Committee in Congress right now, and in his show, m- a lot of these overseas workers get on his show, and they're complaining about the same thing: cheating husband, cheating wives. His main concern is this, as far as overseas Filipinos are concerned. Okay, they use this as an excuse. Let's say a wife use this as an excuse and applies for a job, let's say in Saudi Arabia, in Kuwait, mostly UAEs. So they use this as an excuse to get away from the trauma, from the abuse, uh, and from the responsibility, you know, for caring of the children while the husband or the wife is cheating. So Rafi Tulfo sees this, and this is the reason why, one of the reasons why he's introducing this bill, because it's been very, very rampant. When a wife goes to work as an OFW in Saudi Arabia, uh, most likely, I would say Rafi Tulfo is saying 7 out of 10 would find a boyfriend and carry on a relationship with that boyfriend, and forgets about her obligation at home. You know, the sending money, or for her children's education for whatever reason. Okay, she there's a tendency for them to forget their obligation at home. And so Rafi Tulfo is saying, this is not going right. They go out of the country to find a job, but only to find a boyfriend or boyfriends, forget their responsibility at home, and who ends up suffering? Never mind the husband, but the children. So there's, you know, maybe the children will be able to go to school, and that's his concern. Maybe they won't have enough money and to buy food, and that has happened. Okay, so basically, his concern is the breakup of the nucleus family, the family itself. When a husband or a wife engages in extramarital affair, that's what happens. They forget they forget the response. They forget the responsibility, especially for the children. So when this happens, when people come on his show, when men and women come to Rafi Tulfo's show, a lot of the times, because he makes so much money, he's not just well off from his businesses and whatever he's doing, whatever arrangement he has with TV5, but he makes a lot of money from YouTube. So he ends up helping these families, you know, these forgotten husbands or wives. So, I mean, we're talking about pretty hefty money. He gives them support, financial support. He sets up home-based businesses for these folks so that they can, move on. He helps them. He helps them with filing cases in, adultery or for whatever reason because they're cheating. Okay, but he gives a lot of money. Um, he pays for their utilities. He buys food. He sends his staff to buy groceries and clothings for these victims. And and if there are 5 shows and he has 4 of these kinds of complaints and these kinds of abused people, I mean, we're talking about he can dish out 500,000, 10,000 pesos, or even 1 million in a week's time. That's how rich this man is, and that's how compassionate he is too, and that's how he is concerned that this has to stop, you know, and legalize divorce. Um, and then so going back to these educated women, this well-traveled, this well-experienced women who are supporting Rafi Tulfo in this legislation, uh, they're not going to let go. And it won't matter anymore if the bishops of the Philippines are vocal about the sanctity of marriage. Because abuse, this is when there's no divorce and a husband or wife can do cheating, there is there's an abuse there. Physical, emotional, financial, you name it, all kinds of abuse. So these women are saying enough is enough, along with Rafi Tulfo, and and I hope it happens because I think it gives a lot of opportunity for either women or men to find to finally settle down and find the right person for them, the right partner for them, you know. And with laws that are already intact against abuse, I don't think they're going to go. I mean, there's still some that do cheat and abuse their wife, but not as many as before. Like I said, I used to follow Rafi Tulfo when his followers were only like 10 million. And now it's like it tripled. But there's more, of this kind of complaints, philandering husband, uh, cheating wives, you know. Um, and what I noticed too, the women are bolder. They're more, when it comes to payback. Payback is a B. They're more into it. They're they're bold. I say they're bold because they would they'll have somebody take their photo or a video while they're having sex with their concubines and post it um, in social media until they're caught. And more women are doing that, more so than men. Shameful. I'm sorry, but I'm a little old fashioned, but I'm not going to tolerate cheating, infidelity. No, I'm not going to tolerate that. I don't like abuse. I won't tolerate that either. And I won't tolerate, you know, having these sexual acts on social media. And I don't know why, they're able to post it in Messenger as well as Facebook. I don't know where Zuckerberg uh, regulations come in, why those are even allowed, but it happens a lot. Okay. So I'm in with, I'm going to support um, Senator Rafi Tulfo on this, on his proposed legislation. And if I have to go there and join my friends who are members who are active in different NGOs, I would. I think I'm pretty excited about that. So I'm following this. I'm following this. Uh, while there's no divorce in the Philippines, there is what they call legal separation. But with legal separation, what happens is husband and wife can separate, but they can't take on, it's against the law for them to take on a relationship uh, with another individual. Okay. So there's a lot of bad things about legal separation. It doesn't make it permanent. So they can separate. There's a problem about who has the custody of children. So it makes it very difficult. It's better if we have the divorce, um, and and talk about child support, division of real estate assets that are you know uh, legally can be divided between husband and wife, just as like here in Guam. Right now, legal separation does not allow that to happen. Now, there is a reprieve called annulment, okay? But it's a tedious process. A normal annulment is, well, let's look at what annulment is, okay? Annulment is the only process to dissolve a marriage in PI right now. Annulment is everywhere, even here, even in the United States. Annulment means a declaration in court that a marriage is invalid for simple reason, like there's no consent due to mental illness, or the person that got into the marriage didn't have a sound mind. So those can be used in the Philippines to get an annulment. But annulment is, it's a rich privilege. Only popularly, I would say popularly used by the rich and celebrities because it's very expensive. And so why would a normal 8 to 5 man or woman get an annulment with their measly income when it is very expensive? Okay? And it takes years. They have to provide, they have to hire a lawyer, and that's expensive in the Philippines. So if it takes, the normal process for annulment is 5 to 6 years, they're going to be, do you think they can afford to pay a lawyer for that length of time? No, they cannot. The normal 8 to 5 workers in the Philippines cannot. So what more of the poor ones? the ones that are just, tilling their farms and working as labandera or washing clothes, by hand. How can they afford an annulment? No, they can't. So annulment is a process that is enjoyed by the rich and the famous in the Philippines. So, but annulment, when somebody gets an annulment, their marriage is declared null and void, like it never happened. Okay, it will not be in the records of of the court. That's the only thing about good about annulment. You can forget in your mind and on paper that you were married once to this individual. I don't know if you agree with my opinion, but that's the way I see it. Okay. So without annulment, a person who wants to have a permanent relationship with another individual cannot. They have to do it. Well, they have to hide it. And in the Philippines, everything is open when it comes to cheating by people, especially the rich. So that's a disadvantage too, because once they're caught, uh, you know, the spouse, the abused spouse can file a court case and get that person in prison. So you cannot do that without an annulment. You cannot get into a formal uh, relationship outside your marriage without the annulment. So it becomes very hard. Really, it becomes um, it's a problem. It's a social problem in the Philippines, and it becomes an economical problem. Economical problem because husbands and wives, forget about their obligations to their children. Okay, so that's my that's our piece today on annulment. I mean, on divorce. This proposed legislation on divorce, and I wish Senator Rafi Tulfo the good luck, and the women who are behind him, good luck. And I support it, and I hope it happens soon. And I believe with the president Bongbong Marcos, I think he'll support this because he he's more modern than Noy Noy or Duterte. Okay, I think he's more well aware of the bad effects of not having a divorce in the country. So, and I believe the Vice President Sara Duterte will support this bill also because she's very open-minded, and so Senator Tulfo has got a lot of pros on his side, a lot of supporters on his side. So I think it's gonna go, and I'll make a follow up on this, and follow the development of this legislation, and I hope it happens. I like it. Zach, is it time for us to do another break? Okay, let's do another break. Tutok lang po kayo sa Kababayan, kasali kayo. And we will wrap up. I'll wrap up the show after this commercial break. Thank you for watching, and keep on watching. Hi, welcome back to Kababayan. Kasali kayo. I keep pressing my face because it's so cold here. And every time I come on show, I mean, all of us, we come with sweaters or jackets, right, Zach? Because it's cold here. So you'll never see me with a short sleeve dress or a blouse because it's very, very cold here. Anyway, friends and viewers, welcome to Kababayan Kasali Kayo. And this is the fifth episodes of this talk show. And there's a lot of things I like to talk about, but I only do once a week show, and that's every Saturday morning. And we have a new time by popular demand. It will be aired live at 7 a.m. in the morning. It's just very difficult for everybody, especially the technical crew, like Zach and Eric, to come in at 5:30 and get ready for a 6 a.m. live show. So I've moved it by popular demand to 7 a.m. And, I hope you keep on watching, even though you don't understand Tagalog. I'll do my best to talk in English, especially about issues like this, on divorce and annulment and legal separation, Philippine style. Um, okay, I've got 10 minutes on the show, but here, you know, I I've met Rafi Tulfo. Um, and I believe this was in 2018 when I retired in the Philippines, and I wanted to retire in the Philippines. And when I went there, I bought a car, a secondhand. It's a used car, a Toyota used car from a good friend of mine. Okay, a good friend of mine who happens to be a mayor somewhere in central Philippines. And what had happened was, uh, because we're good friends, I trusted her and I paid her. I paid her the full amount of the price of the car, and we had an agreement. We had an agreement in writing that was what I call that, notarized by her attorney. Yet, after so many months, after paying the car in full, what had happened was she just took it for granted, refused to give me the car. She had issues, and there were no issues, if there were issues, it would come from me. But the fact is, she never. I think it took her like 4 months before she gave me the car because I had initiated a lawsuit against her, and without that, she was she didn't want to let go of the car even after I paid her. Anyway, so what had happened between after I would say 2 months after I paid her the money for that car I bought from her, um, I took her to Rafi Tulfo. And when you go to his TV5 studio in Mandaluyong, what happens is you early in the morning, you got to get there early in the morning because lines and lines of people are already waiting to get an opportunity to be on to air their complaint uh, live with Rafi Tulfo. So as early as I think I went there at 6 a.m. and I lined up, and people around me, I asked people around me, I said, "How long have you been waiting?" And they said, "Oh, ma'am, we've been here for like 2 days, 3 days because we have to wait in line." And so that's what I did. I lined up and I was able to get to his staff who quench. They're more like customer service, and they ask you why you're there, what your issues are, and all that. So when it came to my turn, I told them about this friend, this mayor friend of mine, and but in my case, I wasn't able to talk to Rafi Tulfo uh live because I already initiated a lawsuit against the mayor, the female mayor. But he talked to me and he said, Sally, your case is already going to court. You've hired a lawyer. So, there's nothing different that I would do for you. So just go that route. And if you need help as far as another lawyer, if you're not happy with your lawyer, there I can help you. So I never went on live show with Rafi Tulfo. But mind you, Monday through Friday, lines and lines of people are there. And there are people who come from, they ride the ferry to go to his show. Or they ride a long ride bus from Ilocos or Isabela just to air their concerns with Rafi Tulfo. But he chooses also. When it comes to land issues, land disputes, Rafi Tulfo will not take those. Unless it's especially when it comes to family disputes, unless a land was grabbed by a government official or the police, then he'll get involved. But as far as family disputes, he won't take that. And then cases that are already handled by, if a complainant went to a lawyer, like in my case, no, he will not. He will not. It's not his. It's not that he's not gonna help you. He won't just take the case and resolve it on his show. Okay. Rafi Tulfo, now senator, and I have to keep plugging that because I'm so proud of this guy. He he makes a lot out of YouTube. So he has in his show, I believe, 5 lawyers. He employs 5 lawyers to tackle the legal issues, and he also employs, aside from his studio employees, he also employs investigators. And throughout the country, he has a fleet of SUVs and drivers so that when an investigator goes to that place, everything is provided by Rafi Tulfo. Okay. What else? What else do I know about Senator Rafi Tulfo other than what I've already, Oh, yeah, he's well connected. You know, with 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 just a phone call, cell phone call away, he can get a hold of anybody in the government, in the private sector. Okay, people like judges, people like well-known Speaker of the House, Speaker of Congress, the generals, the PNP head. Who else? He always talks to the head of the public health department in the in the Philippines, not just in Manila but all over the country. So he's got that set up, that network, and that access to big time government officials in the country. You know, he can get anybody deported at any time. So he's an amazing man. I mean, his network is very complete. Nothing to leave behind. So he can do this. He can do this. He can make this divorce thing happen in the Philippines. Okay? So much for the divorce and Rafi Tulfo. We'll talk more about him as I go along this show. But, you know, friends, excuse me, I've been getting comments and I just let it go, when people make these funny faces on their comments. I just let it go because I know they're watching my show. But I know that some of them are, or most of them are saying, "Oh, I don't understand your show, so I'm gonna get off." No, please don't. You know, I'm gonna try to do my best to to s- to uh to do this show in English as well as Tagalog. And really, it's like the Chamorro language. If you know a little bit of Chamorro language, you can follow and you can listen and follow about what I'm saying, about what I'm talking about. Just hang in there. Don't give up, and don't bash me for talking in Tagalog or other dialects. Just hang in there, because when I talk about something in Tagalog, I also expound in English. Okay? So you will understand what I'm talking about. Although I'm a little bit redundant, but that will improve. I've only had 5 episodes. But my Chamorro audience, my Trukis audience, hang in there, support me, and just keep watching the show. Um, don't bash me for it, or don't show me emojis. I'm not gonna react. Uh, a lot of people don't know about me. I'm not a popular person on Guam. I dove into this passion, this broadcast, because I don't want to do writing anymore. I don't want to write for the newspaper anymore, or magazine for that matter. So this is something new to me. I'm hang in there. You'll get to know me. We'll talk more about me on my next show. Uh so that you can stay put and just watch Kababayan, kasali kayo. How about that? Let's make a deal. I'll tell you more about myself, my hobbies, my ethics, my values. That way you'll get to know me better, okay? And you'll stay on my show. That's the most important thing. So, it's almost time to end. This is episode 5. Um, and just keep watching Kababayan Kasali Kayo every Saturday at Kandit News Live. And if you want to email me, folks, you can contact me at Sally at Candid News, right? Sally at Candid News. And it's all lowercase. If you have issues and concerns or comments, and please be respectful with your comments, I'll be more than happy to open whatever you email me. Um, so, folks, it's been another. For me, it's exciting talking about divorce. So, um, I like it. Um, it's been a nice day to have episode 5 on Kababayan Kasali Kayo. Maraming salamat po. Thank you so much. And stay tuned on my next talk show at 7 a.m. live. Kababayan, kasali kayo. Maraming maraming salamat po. God bless.